Oh, hello. Welcome to the Bitcoin Roadshow. So, in case you're wondering, the quick answer is what should you do to protect yourself? And the quick answer is pitching. Not necessarily Canadian gold, but it is very, very pure. Or things like Krugerrands. But you know what I don't like about Krugerrands? They're only 22 carat. I don't like that. It takes a lot of energy. Actually, I learned this in South Africa. It takes a lot of energy to refine gold. To let's say to move from 14 to 18, it takes a lot of heat and cooking off certain layers basically to get 18 carat and then to get to 24 carat. Then when you're at 24 carat, you're still only 99.97, I think it is, and to get to 5 nines of purity like that is, it takes a lot more work. But that's probably not the best thing you can buy. Probably the best thing is maybe silver. All right, and the reason is because silver is more devalued than gold is. Now, in the last, I think it's within 10 years, we've had it at 50 an ounce. That is. That's 2 ounces. That's a Queen's Beast. I can't stand how the Queen's head has to be on everything. Makes me fucking sick. You know what I mean? She's got a fucking ugly mug over everything you have in the world. It just really shows the hand, doesn't it? You know what I mean? I am God! You know, that's what it's like. Anyway, the other thing actually, people don't talk about very much, is platinum. And the reason why platinum is important is because it's the rarest, really, of all these metals. Like palladium, I actually dumped that a while ago. I'm having this talk because I usually talk about crypto. And this will be the one of the few times in the Cryptoversity where I don't talk about Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency. Anyway, yeah. The other thing is, if you're really too scared, now see that right now, the reason why I have this on me is as I got it out of a safe deposit, because safe deposits probably aren't going to be safe much longer because banks will be collapsing. All right, and I know this. Oh, fear porn, yeah. But really, if you see what happened on Monday, Chinese flex their muscles. They show exactly what control they have over the American economy and over the world economy. 1.25 billion people. Come on, give me a break. Not everyone's living like peasants like they were, say, 20, 30 years ago. And even then, everyone wasn't living like peasants. Just a lot of people were. Then again, a lot of people are living like peasants in the UK right now, and in France and in Germany. Not so much here in Slovenia where I am right now, actually. And it's weird because the average salary is only 10,000 euros. Yet why do they all have nice houses in this country? Now, I'm going to have to start uploading some of my travel stuff besides the Bitcoin Roadshow, when I'm out and about, showing places. So the reason why I got this out at the moment is I'm actually liquidating it. Now, it's a stupid time. So don't follow me on this one. Watch it, I'll end up going fucking tanking and I'll sell on a high and everyone will be like, oh, you're a shill. That won't happen. The reason why I'm selling that now is because I don't like going through borders with these fucking horrible, sneaky pieces of shit border guards, because you just know it's a matter of time before they rob you, especially in Eastern Europe, when you're not in the Schengen region, which I am right now. I'm just thinking of going back to the Liberland. There's a party thing out there. Which is an area between Croatia and Serbia. I still may not do it. I'm in the process of buying a house. That's why I'm dumping this. Now, of course, there's another thing I said not to do. So I had a friend call me up yesterday. Hey, Christelle, if you're watching, from New Zealand, and she was asking. She said, "Look, you know about this sort of stuff," and that I do. And she said, you can always be wrong. She said, yeah, I'm not sure if I should buy right now. I'm not in a high wage bracket. She's a makeup artist for TV and stuff, and yeah, she'd been given, I think, someone by someone, and it was good advice, it sounded like. So I basically doubled down on that advice, but I also explained why as well. Things that are happening in the world right now, the cycles of certain markets. There's everything from 4-year cycles. There's 7-year cycles. There's the 7-year cycle became a 12-year cycle, which used to be a 7-year cycle. and this is in the real estate market, and that's long overdue now. So, and other people talk about 12-year cycles. There's all these different things. I suppose it's like one of those things when you're a clairvoyant. You've got a son. No, it's not a son. It's a brother. It's a sister, cousin, second cousin, auntie. All right, you know what I mean. They just cover all bases. So I understand how that sounds. All these market cycles, but they are. When you get to the stage when a more than one market cycle is overdue, then you got to worry. And right now we're talking about stocks, bonds, real estate market, everything overdue for not just a crash, but potentially some markets a collapse, right? So in that respect, why would you keep money in fiat currency, which I don't do, which is why I've got to sell this to get money to buy a house, because the guy doesn't want to accept gold or Bitcoin, which is really annoying. But it's the deal of a century, and it allows me to park the bus up so I can, because you know, government always get in your way, right? To ensure this thing, it's a pain in the ass, because government want it to be a complete, what I pay between the premiums or whatever the hell it is, to what I actually get in return, which is nothing. Because this thing, I'm gonna drive slowly. This thing, you know what I mean? It weighs 8 tons, but they just make it more and more difficult to have the freedom to live like a human being. All the loopholes, and I'm not talking about loopholes that the elite use to evade all the systems that you and I are ensnared into. I'm talking about just the loopholes of normal everyday freedom. They're all getting tied up all the time. So what I would what I would say is the best course of action is and things can go wrong sometimes, you know. You think not everything's a given, or else, you know, or else I would, if everything was, here's the difference between being pretty sure about something on a probability basis and knowing for sure, like when the elite rig markets and they know something's going to come in for them. You can afford to take money that you don't have and put yourself in debt when you've rigged the market yourself, okay? So just so we understand the difference between a sure thing and the best probability, is that's the difference, right? So normal peons like us, as George Carlin said, you know, it's a big club, and if you don't know if you're in it, you're not in it, right? You're not in it, I'm not in it. So all we can go is look at smart money, and we can no. Oh, he's down there. All right, cool. I thought he was outside. Yeah, we can look at smart money. We can follow smart money. We can look at market cycles. We can look at probabilities. And why is my hand shaking so much? I don't know. Anyway, if you're too scared to hold silver and gold, I mean, so this is the thing with me. I thought, why am I carrying around tens of thousands of this? Not that many tens of thousands, just a few. When I can get robbed by border guards who can say, right, we think you've got drugs on you. Let's look in all your spaces in here, and then next thing you know, they steal. Oh, what's this? Why have you got this? It's not like America, but I mean, if they found fiat currency, who knows? Maybe they would steal it just like they do in America. But in America, they get to steal it legally. They would still have to steal it illegally here. But you know, they make me wipe my cameras, and next thing you know, I've got no proof. You know what I mean? Because that's what they do. As soon as they see your cameras, they'll make you wipe it. You know, they want you to remove evidence. I just do not trust anything about government, and neither should you. You're a fucking idiot if you do, right? So the other thing is, if you're too scared to buy silver and gold and platinum, even though they're all at very good prices, especially silver and platinum, right? Although gold is going to go up, I'm going to say at least tenfold, and that sounds stupid, given the fact that it hasn't gone up that much. In my lifetime, it has probably gone up. You've definitely good buying times where you could have bought at the bottom when it was a couple of $100. I think it went down to $200 or $300 at one stage, just in the within the last 20 years. I haven't got the gold charts in my head as much as I do with crypto. So I just remember seeing certain figures and thought, oh my god, imagine buying at that, like silver at $12 and stuff, and even lower. But right now it's still low, and given the fact that the high with silver, for example, has been 50 in the last few years. Sorry, I've had some seeds before. Given that fact, and given the fact that there's silver's used in everything in industry, gold is no longer used in that way. They used to use gold in circuit boards and stuff. That's why in India they're all putting chemicals on these circuit boards and, you know, and killing them, giving themselves an early grave just to extract this gold on these old PCBs. So if you're too scared, anyway, I keep getting to the point, I say half a sentence, I don't finish it. If you're too scared to buy physical metals, then the thing you should probably put your money into, and a friend of mine made money on years ago when where was I again? I was in Japan years ago snowboarding with a friend of mine, and his dad made a lot of money on silver stocks. So stocks for silver mining companies, because I think my pump's going here. No, it's not. All right. Yeah. So basically, it allows you to have the freedom of movement like crypto does, right? You still have skin in the game in the silver market, which is going to go ballistic. And at the same time, it's not something that's stored with a bank that's going to collapse. Because, for example, if you get like, they call it paper silver, I think. When you get like bond certificates or something like that are silver certificates that represents this value in the bank, just how your fiat currency represents, you know, an ounce of silver, but it doesn't, you know, or used to represent an ounce of silver, your dollar coin. It'll be worth nothing, right? So you gotta think, well, how do I stay involved in silver? It's like being involved in crypto, for example, when you don't hold it. Same thing. If you're involved in paper stocks, you know, stocks of businesses that are going to hit the wall in the recession or the depression or the collapse, whatever it may be, and it may be different with different markets. It could be I'm expecting a real estate recession. You may even have many recoveries throughout it, but it will stay down for a while because of all the other related markets, right? The rich are going to clean up again, as they always do, when this happens, and this is going to happen from this point in time that we're at now. This is now August the 9th in 2019. So the chance of it and the probability factor, the likelihood is it's going to happen within 6 months, right? Could be even less time than that. So that could be 2 days, right? It could be 6 months, but I'd say that more than 50% probability that's where it's going to happen, and then another maybe, I don't know, 40% within the next year. So that's 90% probability within the next year in total, right? And 50% of that in the next 6 months. After 12 months, I'd say it's as low as a 10% chance it's going to be after that point, right? Could be. It's all a probability game. That's how I live my life. Is probability, right? So if you're gonna, the reason why I'm saying this is because people sometimes think, when do I have time to act? I can show you here, but you get, look, you may not be able to afford a silver coin. Costs what? Something like $20 or $30. Okay, the spot price of it is only 16. But if you get a coin, it's just an easier way to hold it. You may want to, if you want to buy it cheaper, buy it in those little bars. You get these little ingot bars. Nothing there either. But that's an easy way to do it. If you're a gold bug and you really want to get gold, you get these really small Chinese coins. I think other currencies too. 1/20th of an ounce. Just start stacking little things like that. You don't have to have ounce coins. You know. Same as silver, you get these Valcambi bars, where it's like a chocolate bar, and it's got 1 gram of silver all the way through it, and you just basically bend and snap it off. It's really cool. Check them up on the internet. Valcambi silver, 100 gram bar. Yeah, something. Just look at that. You'll eventually find it. It looks like a chocolate block made of silver. So that's easy ways to get into it if you wanna hold it solid, you know. And then I would say that don't use a safe deposit box. Find somewhere, you know, a family home where you can bury it in concrete. Go back later on with a metal detector, whatever it is, unless you can't see the scar on the ground or whatever it might be. And don't put too much in one area. Never put all your eggs in one basket. I never do that. I mean, I go between different countries, let alone different areas in different countries, because you can't trust what's going to happen. I mean, I'm in an area right now that had war, well, kind of had war in the last 100 years. It was all of Europe did, really, with the Second World War. My grandparents are from countries like Lithuania is not so bad, but in Ukraine, well, Poland, Ukraine, obviously Second World War, that got hit pretty bad. Everything got taken off my family, and yet they still tell you. I was watching a thing on Bill de Blasio yesterday, and that idiot Sean Hannity, who wouldn't let him talk. He asked him a simple question: do you think it's right that people should be able to protect themselves, own a gun to protect themselves? And de Blasio just would not answer the question. And I understand that there's a political thing. The funny thing was that Hannity wouldn't ask questions either. He's not a politician. Yeah, he wouldn't answer questions. I understand he's the interviewee, but when you're extremely opinionated, if you're an interviewer and you're opinionated as hell, like scumbags like I've spoken about him many times before, Andrew Neil, who's a traitor Scot, people who have gone through many different careers, like he's also a traitor scumbag, George Galloway from Scotland. You know, if you're going to have strong opinions, you're not going to be objective, you're going to be subjective, then you should be asked questions back. You want to ask rationalization and try frame the question to gotcha somebody, then expect it back to yourself. Anyway, the answer is no. He wants you to rely on the police. Now, my family history shows that you can't rely on the police. You know why? Because my great-grandfather was the Polish High Commandant, and he was the first guy that got killed when the Red Army came through, right? So I'm pretty sure the neighbors couldn't rely on my great-grandfather to help their asses after that point, after he was dead, right? And after our farm got taken, and after everyone got sent to Siberia, right? This is the only downside about living in Europe. It's when you're stationary, you can apply for a gun license. It's quite easy. But when you're not stationary like me, forget about it. It's not going to happen, you know. So that's the only thing that really does suck about here. You've got to rely on martial arts. It's the only thing you can do, really, and hoping someone doesn't shoot you when things fall apart. Or if things do fall apart, trying to angle things quickly enough that you can get yourself protection by either a group of people or buying stuff like that, you know, weapons, whatever. Once a collapse happens and people are looking for money to buy food or whatever it might be, but most likely they would just take it if they had weapons. You know what I mean? That's the downside and the reality of wartime, right? Anyway, that's the best way you can protect yourself if you're stationary is get your gun license. Go down to a range, get a local club. I don't know of a country in Europe, I can't think of any countries in Europe where if you haven't got a criminal record showing that you're an absolute crazy person, where you can't buy a shotgun. Just get into clay pigeon shooting. You don't have to kill animals, right? Actually, please don't kill animals. There's just no point. And the problem is when the collapse happens, everyone's going to be killing animals. That's even your neighbor's cat, whatever. And it doesn't even have to be collapse. It just has to be a big depression where the average person's really, really poor. And here's the reason why it'll be worse in these days than the old days. One, more people. You might have mechanization is better set up, infrastructure is better set up, but the simple fact is there's more people, and there's more people with higher expectations. Because of the easy life we've had, because of the oil boom of the last 100 years, which has given us not just the ease of production, but it's also given us cheaper prices, which means the average person doesn't have to say, oh, look at my trinkets and doilies around my house. They can see they've actually got real stuff. You know what I mean? The average scutter has you know, has a car and a house, or maybe a rented house, but he's got, you know, TVs and things all around him. You know, oh, I've got 6 TVs in my house, something like that. You know, so because people are so used to it, and especially places like America where they almost believe it's their God-given right to have all these things, even if it costs you, even though they're against socialism, which costs you. I'm not really much of a socialist myself, but they're so anti-socialist, a lot of them, a lot of Yanks, especially the Republicans. But yet they don't mind swindling money out of you. It just sucks when it comes to business. It's a business, man. Anyway, so that's how you protect yourself. May not work, or maybe pissing in the wind, but as a mere peon that most of us are, you have to do something. You can stay still. You can get locked into a mortgage. So if you're buying a house right now, unless you're doing what I'm doing and getting some ridiculously good deal that doesn't even cost very much, you're talking 20 grand. So what? Gives me a place to park my bus, gives me a place to do up later on. You know, it's not like I can really go that wrong. Even if it is, it's 20 grand. You know what I mean? It's not that much money. I'm not in a mortgage. It's not gonna be the kind of money where it's like, oh, you owe that. Okay, put it this way. I understand that it can be a lot of money to some people. Even if it was 5 grand, right? And you had 100 grand worth of assets. If you've put that on a loan and you can't afford to pay it, the bank will steal everything you have, right? So the amount of money is irrelevant, but when you're talking markets around this part of the world and everything, you can't get on the property ladder for under 100k, even in the shittiest areas in Europe, and in most areas it's 200 to half a million. Well, you know, 20 grand's not much. It allows me a place to park my bus. It allows me a place to I don't know, restock, leave stuff, switch my snowboard out for a different one rather than have to carry all my stuff on me. Maybe jump into a small car if it's something that's local here. There's a lot of ski fields around Slovenia. Buy strategically. Never buy if you do find a deal, because soon you'll have deals coming out, and if you're someone who held money, and you're worried that money might start to go down a lot quicker than it is right now. Let's say, for example, you live in China and you've just seen the yuan take a massive hit. Well, you might want to, next time it creeps up again and the markets fall flat for property, then you might want to buy a property. Again, that should be happening in the next 6 months to a couple of years. So that market might trail a little bit longer. It might stay buoyant a little bit quicker, although it should crash exactly the same time all the banks do. Or they'd start to have trouble and need a bailout, like what you call Deutsche Bank and stuff like that, Deutsche Bank. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I can say. Oh yeah, let's say New Zealand market. So highly inflated by what happened with the Chinese coming over and buying stuff. Jacinda Ardern made a very racist move and prevented the Chinese or other foreigners from buying there. They made more rules against that. I don't think they prevented them. I think it's still possible, but who knows? I just hope they reciprocate the same rules so that Kiwis can't buy overseas. Kiwis own a shitload around the world. I keep reminding my New Zealander friends of this. Also, a lot of the manipulators that you'll find in places like United Kingdom and the USA, Kiwi born, Kiwi raised, manipulating markets, vulture capitalist, really making the most of manipulated situations that they help manipulate. So yeah, just as guilty as any other race, but a lot of them act like they, butter wouldn't melt in their mouth. So the Auckland house market particularly, it's got to go for a major correction. So unfortunately, even if you bought at a very good rate, it's still going to be negative equity for a few years. The thing is, New Zealand might be one of those countries that rebounds quicker or has small upturns even during the recession, because there'll be times where the elite want to have a hidey hole bug out pad to go to. So New Zealand does have that uncertainty with, well, you might not be too bad, but overall, I think if you're not selling now, you're taking too high a risk that it's going to keep on going up, because the market's still going up in some parts. Maybe not in Auckland, but it is definitely going up still in Hawke's Bay, where my mum lives. I think it's not a wise decision to hold on. She wants to hold on longer. That's her decision. I wanted to get to 1 million. Okay, it could do, but for that nice round figure, and let's say you could have sold at 985,000, right? And then it gets to 990, and then boom, property prices come down and your property is worth 400,000. And that's exactly what can happen. Don't hold on too much. I'm a prime one to talk because I held on at even below 20 grand just for that 20 grand to happen. I thought, I'll sell some off then. And it didn't happen. Up, it went down to, well, it went all the way down to, I suppose, 3,200 or 3,400. Yeah, sometimes you got to take profit. You can't just hold on like Scrooge McDuck the whole time. I'm not saying sell out the whole thing, just sell out. Oh, look, I started talking about crypto again. There you go then. Alright, I'll leave it at that. Silver mining stocks. And possibly even gold mining stocks too, but I'd say silver mining stocks. Or silver. And always Bitcoin.